So today's Torah reading for day 2 of Rosh Hashanah is definitely one of the most dramatic and really important episodes in the entirety of the Torah. So we know that it's a story where Abraham and Sarah blessed at an old age, right, with a son called Isaac, and Isaac is weaned, and which is maybe 2-3 years old, seems, and then at some later point, the chronology is not entirely clear, but at some later point, Abraham is told to bring his son Isaac to the top of a mountain called Har HaMoriah, which we identify with the site of the temple in Jerusalem, was, according to tradition, built on the site of Mount Moriah, and only at the and offer him as a sacrifice. In other words, kill the very son he's been blessed with, and at the last moment, God sends an angel, intervenes, and says, right, not to do anything. Al tas lo me'uma, don't do anything. In the rabbinic rereading, al tas lo afilu mum, don't even wound him in any way. Don't put a wound in him. This is an extraordinary text. It's so extraordinary that a seminary professor taught Hebrew literature for many years, though it goes back a long time. His name was Shalom Spiegel, and Shalom Spiegel wrote a book. It was called in Hebrew Me'agadot HaKedah. It's called in English, I think, The Last Trial. I don't know why they translated it that way, but they didn't ask my opinion. So anyway, that's how it is translated. It's a it's an extraordinary book. Spiegel himself, by the way, was an extraordinary person. I don't know how many people know that Shalom Spiegel's brother was a Hollywood director. His name was Sam Spiegel, and Sam Spiegel directed major films like The African Queen with Humphrey Bogart. Imagine that. You're a famous seminary professor, and you're the less successful of the two brothers, of all the brothers, but there you have it. So Spiegel, of course, talks about how this became a trope about martyrdom, right, in the Middle Ages. A fascinating book. But here, I think, is the core message, if I may attempt to make it way much too short. There are, in Judaism, two imperatives, and they occasionally contradict each other. The one imperative, of course, is to listen to the voice of God. That is, if God asks us to do whatever it is our obligation as a covenanted people to follow that through to its completion, right? So when God says to Avraham Avinu, when he says to our father Abraham, you're to go journey 3 days and sacrifice your son on the top of a mountain that I'll show you, Avram is obligated to do so, and he does so. And he does so with great care, with great zest, right? He got up early. Vashkem Avram Baboker, he got up early in the morning to get started. But the other imperative is the imperative to preserve human life, the imperative of pikuach nefesh. And the second imperative is so powerful that it negates virtually all of the first imperative. Indeed, one part of that one of the very only 3 situations in which one must give one's own life, right, is you are not permitted to take the life of another person. That's one of the 3, right? So what it tells us is that our covenant with God will be a broad and all-encompassing and eternal agreement between the 2 parties, but it shall always be a covenant based upon life. And if you have any doubts, think about this line. You don't have to know Hebrew, you just have to know one word of Hebrew. Zachrenu l'chaim, melech hafetz b'chaim, v'chodvenu b'sefer ha'chayim, l'mancha Elohim chayim. What's the repeated word? Chayim. Here's the core message right there. So anyway, so please turn now the introduction to page 103, and that will be the reading for day 2 of Rosh Hashanah.